Hey guys, what's up? It's Allison, and today I'm going to be doing a little book review because this month I started getting into reading a little bit, and I've seen a bunch of people on YouTube doing like books that they read this month, and I've been getting really into them. So I decided that I'm gonna make one for myself, for you guys, and just kind of go over the books that I read this May. I read a total of, I think, 9 books. I'm just going to tell you guys my ratings and kind of what they're about and if I liked them or not. So let's get into it. So this is The Fear by Natasha Preston. I can't say I remember a lot about this book just because it was a while ago, but it focuses on the main character, Izzy, and she is a teenager going to high school, and all of a sudden this meme goes around and it's asking people what their biggest fear is, and a lot of people are kind of submitting their biggest fears, thinking like this is like a fun little game, a little joke, and people start dying. They're dying based on what their fears are. So the police are trying to investigate, and people from our high school are just dropping because they've submitted their fears, and you know, sketchy things are going around. Izzy's starting to kind of feel like she's being watched and stuff like that. So she decides to investigate for herself to find out who is doing this, who the killer is, and what's their intention. And that's basically it. You kind of just follow her little investigation of trying to find out who the killer is, and you know, it has a good little plot twist. I gave this book a 4 just because I've read all of Natasha Preston's books, and a lot of them kind of follow the same structure, so kind of similar. I don't know if it was a really surprising plot twist to me on who the killer was, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like it wasn't the best book. It wasn't the worst book, but I do love Natasha Preston. I do love all of her books. She kind of goes between happy endings and not so happy endings, so you never know if like it's gonna be a happy ending or if it's gonna not turn out. One thing I will say is that the ending to this is, you know, well, I guess you guys will just read it for yourself to see if it's a happy or a bad ending, but that is the first book I read, The Fear by Natasha Preston. The second book that I read was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I loved this book. This is kind of the first book that I got into from Tube, I guess. Haley Pham recommended this one, and she said that it was super good, so I decided that I was gonna try it. It focuses around the two characters, Meredith and what is his name? Meredith and Whitty. Okay. See, that's kind of a difficult name to remember. Basically, the book's plot, I'll just tell you, it goes around Meredith, and they always take a trip to Martha's Vineyard every summer, but the last couple summers her and her family have not joined the trip because her sister Claire died a couple years ago, and it kind of just reminds her of Claire, and so her parents and her have not been embarking on those trips for the past couple of years, but I'm pretty sure it's her cousin that gets married, and they have all of their family out at Martha's Vineyard, so they decide that they're going to go to that, and kind of a romance with the groom's best man, I believe. And so you get to see their romance as a lighthearted romance, but also they talk about this game called Assassin. They're playing this game called Assassin in the background of the book, kind of, so you get to see kind of like, I'm not going to explain the game, but it's kind of like a water gun game. If you kill somebody with the water gun, they're out, and then you take their opponent. So that's kind of like the little thing that's going on while this romance is happening. As I said, it's very lighthearted, which I loved about it. I gave this book a 5 stars just because, you know, there wasn't a lot of like plot twists or anything like that. Actually, there is one plot twist, but it was just lighthearted. It's like a feel-good read. So I really like this book. The cover's amazing. I truly recommend this book. I just think it's like a really easygoing, fast-paced read. The next book that I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book is so good. Anywhere that you see anybody like reviewing this book, they're just gonna say it's absolutely like a shock. Colleen Hoover is known for like her romance books, but Verity is it has romance in it, but it is more of a like mystery novel. It centers around this woman named Lowen, and she is a struggling writer who is not making a lot of money, and she gets a deal from Verity, who is a very popular writer, and Verity has been in a car accident, so she is not able to continue writing her series. So they asked Lowen if she can continue the series for Verity and finish it out for her. Well, as she is going through Verity and Jeremy's house, which is the love interest, she starts to see that some things are not adding up and things start to get a little creepy. So this has a great plot twist at the end. It's kind of like a figure it out for yourself. I feel like I'm saying too much, so I'm just not going to go into any more depth, but I gave this one a 5 stars easily. Kept me on my toes the whole entire time, and I couldn't put it down. I'm pretty sure I read this book in like a day or two. Like, it was super good. So that's Verity by Colleen Hoover. The next book that I read was The Last Thing You Told Me by Laura Dave. This is also a Reese's Book Club book, so it's supposed to be like very good. This is about Hannah and Owen, who is her husband, and it's not really a romance novel. It's more of like a mystery, trying to find out what happened to Owen. He leaves her a note saying protect her, I think. Yes, he leaves her a note saying protect her, and his daughter Bailey has absolutely no idea what's going on. Bailey is her stepdaughter, so they don't get along very well, and it's just kind of like them evolving as a mother-daughter relationship while trying to find out where her dad and Hannah's husband has gone. I gave this book a 3, which was the lowest rating I gave any of these books this month, because I felt like really nothing happened for the first 200 pages. It was just kind of like descriptions where descriptions didn't need to be. It was kind of a lot of over-explaining. However, I did tear up at the end of this book just because, well, I guess you'll figure it out for yourself. But, yeah, it just, I feel like more could have been done. I feel like the reasoning behind Owen's departure was kind of random, kind of didn't really make sense. It just was kind of thrown in there. So that's why I gave it a 3 stars. Still is a okay mystery book. It's just not my favorite this month. Next book I read is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, and I'm not going to give this one a rating just because it doesn't really have a plot for me to rate. It's more of an informative Christianity book, and I truly do recommend this. This book honestly took me longer than any of the other books just because it's very short, but it's also, you know, it takes a minute to understand what's going on. C.S. Lewis is, well, basically, he's dead now. So this writing was from a long time ago, and it's kind of difficult to understand, but if you really put your mind to it, this is a very eye-opening book for anybody that's looking to get into Christianity, or even like Christians that have already been Christians. It defends the Christian belief. It kind of is his take, because he used to be an atheist. So it's his take on why Christianity makes sense, kind of debunking the myths of Christianity, and just talks about love for God and how you show your love for God. I did like this book. I felt like it was eye-opening. It took me a little while, but I'm definitely going to be reading more of C.S. Lewis's books because I just feel like he has a good mindset on Christianity, and he's very informative. He has his opinions on Christianity, which I didn't agree with every single opinion, but he backs it up very well and is very like convincing. So that was Mere Christianity. The next book that I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a very popular book. It is by Holly Jackson, and it is part of a trilogy, which I will be reading. But this follows the character Pip, and she is doing a capstone project on something that happened in her town. A girlfriend and a boyfriend. Basically, the boyfriend was convicted of murdering his girlfriend, and she doesn't believe that it's really true. She's trying to look in the depths to see who the actual killer was. And it's not just about the capstone report. She's really doing this for herself, just to kind of clear his name and everything. And you do see a kind of romance develop with the boyfriend's brother, which is, I think his name was Robbie. It goes on about that. This book is, how many pages? It's about 400 pages. It was a good read. I gave this a 4 stars. I feel like I didn't give this a 5-star because I didn't connect with the characters as much as I would have liked to. I just didn't feel that much of a connection. Otherwise, it's a good book. I would recommend it still. And it kind of, I wasn't expecting the ending. I was not expecting the conclusion that she came to. So that's always nice. Then I read Beach Read, which is by Emily Henry, and I gave this a 5 stars with like 3 exclamation marks. I loved this book. This is a huge hyped book on TikTok and on YouTube. This basically follows Augustus and January, and they are both writers. Augustus is kind of more of a deep writer, while January is a happy ending writer, a romance novelist, and you get to see their story kind of unfold. They're both kind of facing a writer's block, and they decide to make a deal that they're going to switch their genres and educate each other about their genres through little dates, and they're going to make a book based on each other's genre. I loved this book. I feel like I connected with the characters very well. You know, it has some kind of spicy scenes, but not anything too bad. She's also got some issues of her own, and he's got some issues of his own, which kind of holds him back from their relationship for a long while. I just really liked both of these characters, and I just really loved this book. I can't wait to read the other 2 books. It's People We Meet on Vacation and Book Lovers. But this was a definite 5-star for me, and I feel like a lot of people like this book, so you guys should definitely read this. But yeah, that's Beach Read. It's Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. And this is a very thick book. It did not take me that long. It took me maybe like 4 days, just because I wasn't reading it like intensively. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. This book is so popular on Book Talk, and everybody loves it, so I was like, yes, I'm gonna read it. I don't really want to read like a 550 page book, but I did it. And this follows Naomi and Knox, and Naomi has been called on to help her twin sister Tina, and so Tina asks for help. She moves to the town that Tina's living in. It's a small town novel, and Tina basically leaves her with her child that she has no idea. She had no idea that she was an aunt, and takes her car, takes her money, everything, and leaves. So Tina's kind of like the bad twin, and Naomi's the good twin. Naomi's kind of left with her niece, who is named Waylay, and their relationship's super cute. Knox is kind of like a grumpy character, but they end up forming a romance, Knox and Naomi, and that is super good. The only reason I gave this a 4.5 was because I feel like it was kind of just like about their romance. There wasn't really anything stirring in the background. There was obviously like Tina in the background and like where she was and what she was doing, but I feel like it wasn't really focused on that. Also, I think that Knox was a little bit annoying as a character, which kind of put me off. I like them together, but he was just kind of like too negative for me throughout a lot of the book, and sometimes I was just like, okay, whatever. Also, I feel like some of the scenes in here were like super cringy, but otherwise I did give this book a 4.5 stars. I liked their romance. I liked the child aspect with Waylay. I liked the family dynamic and the small town dynamic. So yes, I gave this book a 4.5. You should definitely read it. Things We Never Got Over. Cover is super cute. And I know that I think she's making a spinoff with 2 other of the side characters in this book, which I will be excited to read. This leads us to our last book that I read, which was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Maybe. I gave this book also a 4.5. The thing about this book is that it definitely was not a romance, which was most of the books that I read. Had some romance incorporated. This is about Alicia Berenson, and she has been accused of her husband's murder. The story is that she shot her husband 5 times in the face, and then she never spoke again. Theo, which is a psychotherapist, I think, is what they call him. He decides that he is going to go to the asylum or the place where she is located at, and he is going to try to get her to talk, try to get her to tell her side of the story and why things are happening and what exactly happened. I'm not gonna lie, at some points I did get bored in this book, but I gave this a 4.5 just because of the ending. I was not expecting the ending, and it got really good towards the end of the book. It was not bad. It was not a bad book all throughout. It was just kind of what's going on? Let's get to the point here. But I give it a 4.5 because the ending was phenomenal. I would have never guessed that would have played out that way. So I do recommend it. It is by a male author, which I don't think I read any other books by a male author this time. So that was kind of interesting. And this is a super popular book as well. So I do recommend reading this. It was a short read for me. It took me about 2 days. It was 360 pages. So super good. I liked it. All the books that I read, mostly, for the most part, I enjoyed. And I would recommend all of them to you if you're interested in starting to read. So we're going to see what June entails. I have a couple books that I am wanting to read, and my birthday is coming up in 2 days. So we will see what I get for that. If you want to get into reading, this book is probably my favorite book out of, I would say these 3 books were my favorite books this whole month. And Things We Never Got Over was pretty good as well. So check all of these out and let me know what you guys think. And I guess that is it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more book content, and I will see you guys next time.